Take a look at this. At first, it might look just like another old map, but it's actually a time capsule. Every color, line, and symbol tells a story of buildings, factories, neighborhoods, and even the hazards that once shaped everyday life. These are Sanborn maps, and today we're going to explore how they came to be, what secrets they hold, and even how they once caught the attention of Warren Buffett. Let's dive in and see what makes them so special. Back in the 1860s, cities were growing fast. Fires were a constant danger, and insurance companies needed a way to understand what they were covering. That's when Daniel Alfred Sanborn stepped in. In 1866, Aetna hired him to map buildings in Tennessee. A year later, he created an incredibly detailed map of Boston, and that project set the stage for something much bigger. Sanborn's maps showed building footprints, construction materials, firewalls, windows, doors, hydrants, and every detail an insurance underwriter might need. Drawn at a scale of 50 feet to 1 inch, they were precision tools. Insurers quickly recognized their value, and Sanborn grew his company by buying competitors like Paris and Brown and Hexamer and Sons, eventually making his company the gold standard for fire insurance mapping. Every Sanborn map was hand-drawn by skilled draftsmen and artists. Picture a long table lined with workers, sketching building outlines with ink and carefully painting in color washes. These projects took time, patience, and incredible attention to detail. Even the lettering feels like artwork. Fonts have curves and shadows, while decorative flourishes around titles look like they belong in an old storybook. The colors were applied by hand as well. Each block was painted building by building. The result is a blend of utility and beauty that makes every Sanborn map unique. They were more than technical documents, they were art. Sanborn maps used a colorful code that made them practical to read. Yellow buildings meant wood frame construction, red or pink marked brick, blue stood for stone or concrete, brown signaled it was a fireproof structure, and gray meant iron. Mixed materials were shown with creative patterns. Symbols carried meaning as well. The letter D, or DWG, indicated the building was a dwelling. S stood for store, F meant flat, and A signaled an auto garage. Windows were shown with dots and stems, 1 dot for a first floor window, 2 for a second floor, and so on. Roofs had their own system. An open circle meant metal, while crosshatch or dot patterns represented shingles or composition materials. Hazards like gas tanks and cisterns and hydrants were also included. You don't have to memorize what all of these codes were. Every map comes with its own key that lists out all of these indicators. Each Sanborn map comes in a book format. It's got the first page, which is the title page. It's super ornate, beautiful page, and it indicates the city and the state and all the details. The next page is usually the index that has the street names and any business names, kind of like a phone book that we used to have back in the day. And then the next page after that is what I call the main map, and it just includes the main overview of the entire city. And that's the map that's going to have your key with all of the things, the color codes, and all of the symbols that represents different things that an insurance company would care about. The pages after that main map page are the ones that are broken down sheet by sheet, neighborhood by neighborhood, and that's where you are able to really bring it in and see where a home was located and all of the details around it. So these maps were originally created for business, but their value today goes far beyond fire insurance. Genealogists use them to trace family homes. City planners study them to see how neighborhoods grew and changed. Environmental researchers look at them to identify where old factory or storage sites once operated. For anyone curious about the past, they are an incredible resource. What makes them captivating is that human touch. Because they were hand-drawn, you can sense the care and skill of the draftsman. These maps were meant to be practical, but they became beautiful in the process. Sometimes what isn't on the map tells as much of a story as what is. Sanborn maps weren't designed to capture everything. They focused on dense, high-risk areas that mattered to insurers. That meant rural zones, sparsely populated neighborhoods, and large estates were often left out. The famous Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina, for example, doesn't appear on Sanborn maps. It wasn't part of the compact urban landscape that carried risk for insurers. Nearby, Biltmore Village, with its shops and homes, does appear because it functioned like a small town and needed to be documented. These omissions remind us that the maps reflect not just what was present, but also what insurers chose to ignore. During World War I, paranoia about German spies was so high that in Fort Wayne, Indiana, a surveyor going about his job was accused of being a spy. Locals thought he was gathering intelligence, and authorities questioned him before realizing he was simply taking measurements for maps. Sanborn employees themselves became part of local lore. They walked block by block, sometimes climbing rooftops or asking locals questions to make sure their maps were accurate. In some towns, people thought they were government inspectors or even tax collectors, which didn't always go over well. In the late 1950s, Warren Buffett, then a young investor, saw an opportunity. Sanborn's stock price had dropped from $110 to $45, but the company's investments in stocks and bonds were worth $65 per share. That meant the map-making business itself was essentially free. Buffett bought up 23% of the company and pushed for changes. Within 2 years, he earned nearly a 50% return. For him, it wasn't about the maps at all. It was about uncovering hidden treasure sitting in plain sight on the balance sheet. Sanborn maps are more than technical drawings. They tell stories of fire insurance, artistry, omissions, spy scares, funny mistakes, and even financial drama. From Daniel Sanborn's 19th century surveys to Warren Buffett's 20th century investment moves, these maps connect histories in ways no one expected. The next time you see one, whether online, in a library, or in an archive, take a closer look. It isn't just a map, it's art, it's history, and it's a story waiting to be discovered. Thanks for exploring it with me. Also, if you'd like your own Sanborn map to hang in your home, like some of these behind me, check out my shop in the description below. Thanks for stopping by.